So today I'm going to talk about a cool piece of software that can help you turn your photos into something that looks like they may have been shot on film, gives them that vintage vibe that you're looking for. So it's no secret because the video is titled this way. Dehancer is the plugin that we're talking about today. It's sort of a review, sort of just a discussion about the tool. This is my first piece of software that I partnered with a company to review. I've done a lens from 7 Artisans, things like that. I've gotten a lot of offers from smaller companies for random things to do reviews for over the past couple of years, and I pretty much said no to almost all of them because almost all of them made no sense for my channel. This one made perfect sense in my mind. This is exactly the kind of thing that I like to talk about, is creative things with photography. And although I love my Fujifilm film simulation recipes, I want to do more things that speak to a lot of photographers. And this is great because Sony people can watch this, Nikon people can watch this, see a little bit, hear a little bit about Dehancer, and maybe give it a shot. So I don't accept all these offers. I'm doing this one because I think it fits. I like the software, I like the company, and that's why we're here. Okay, so let me get a few disclaimers out of the way. This is a partnership with Dehancer. They're not sponsoring this video, although they did provide me with a copy of this plugin to review to make this video. I also accepted an offer from them to be an affiliate. In the description, I'll have a promo code for you to use to get a discount on Dehancer when you purchase it. Now, you can use anyone else's code as well, but you might as well not pay full price. Use my code, use someone else's code. People doing reviews have these promo codes. Use one, get a discount, don't pay full price. And you know how these things work. When you purchase it using my promo code, I get a little bit of a kickback from each purchase, so it does help the channel, and any help that I get is always appreciated. Dehancer had no coordination with me on what to say in this video. The only thing we coordinated was me getting the plugin, setting up the affiliate program, and I told them the rough estimated time I expected to have this video uploaded. So I've sat with this software for a couple weeks. I didn't want to rush into making a video. I want to just give it a little bit of thinking and experimenting before I pushed it out to you guys. I wanted to make sure there was no big gotchas or anything that was a big hiccup or frustration to me. And spoiler alert, there hasn't been any really bad elements at all. The things that we'll talk about at the end will be some of the things I would like to see them improve upon, but that would go with any piece of software. There's always a wish list of things that you hope to add or improve upon. So just to be clear, what is Dehancer, right? Dehancer is a plugin for photo editing applications. It works with Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One, Affinity Photo. But technically, you can launch this plugin on its own. At least on a Mac, you can right-click a TIFF file and open with or edit with Dehancer without launching anything else. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. So it's a plugin, but kind of a standalone app of sorts right now. I'm going to hop on my iMac. We're going to hop into Dehancer and kind of just take a look around, and I'll show you some of the features that it has. We'll play with some of my images and see what we can do with them. Okay, so Dehancer is designed as a plugin, so that means it's meant to be launched from within Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One, or Affinity Photo. I'm going to be working in Capture One, but it shouldn't be too hard to find how to do this in the other applications. It should be relatively similar. So there's a few different ways to go about this. You could choose the image that you want and do some basic edits. Like for this image, for example, I can prep it a little bit to maybe make it a little more neutral, and that way I can have some more control when I go into Dehancer. Or you could just leave it as is. But once you're ready to launch Dehancer, in Capture One at least, I can just right click and go edit with, and in this menu it's all the way down at the bottom, and it is Dehancer Lightroom plugin. The Capture One uses the Lightroom plugin variant of the software, and this is the options that Capture One gives you to create your TIFF file that your plugin needs to work with. Most of the defaults are fine. I'm going to leave all that the same and just click edit variants. So it's going to create the variant, which is the TIFF file, and launch Dehancer for me. So this is Dehancer. It's pretty cleanly designed, but let's take a quick tour of everything that's in here. So over here on the left hand side you have two tabs. The first tab is profiles. These are the included presets basically. I was calling these presets when I did the intro, but these are the included looks, the included film simulations or film emulations that they include, are all these profiles here. You can see all of them by default. It says all films, or you can narrow them down by film type. You have color negative, motion picture, color positive, black and white, instant, exotic, and cross. So you can narrow those down by those categories, or you can click on the drop down list, which has them all listed there as well. And then it creates an icon preview of what your image would look like with that specific profile. And then the other tab on the left hand side is the presets. Now presets are stuff that you create or others create and you import. So these are a handful of presets I've created so far since using this software. There are more I created but have deleted, and there are a couple of these I may delete as well since I don't really like them. But some are cool, and a couple of the cool ones I'm going to put on my Buy Me a Coffee site, and I will link to that, and you can download this for free. But I was in here earlier playing with this image, and I'll show you what I did with it. But first, let's go over to the other side of the software, which is the part where most of the work gets done. These are kind of like your editing modules in other applications. So you have everything from basically a white balance, the color temperature of the image itself, which is under the tab called Source. You have Expand, which is almost like a contrast. You have where you can set your black point and white point, and adjust, start playing with contrast basically. You have a module here that accommodates for what the image would look like printed on whatever medium it was going to. So right now I have Kodak Indura glossy paper chosen, so this is trying to mimic what it might look like on that piece of medium, on that glossy photo paper. It also has a Kodak print film that you could choose, or just has like a film log profile or a linear color profile. So there's a couple options here, which is kind of cool because this is it adds another element to your vintage vibe if you choose that and make some adjustments. The next one is the color head adjustments. So you can make more color adjustments here. This mimics the color wheels that you might have on a color enlarger in the darkroom, where you would adjust the tint of, or you would adjust the amount of these certain colors to create your image. So you have a yellow, blue slider, magenta, green, and cyan and red slider, and you can take each one to different directions and really play with the tint or the look that your image gets. Then you have the last four, which the first few had a lot to do with color and contrast, and now these last four are kind of the icing on the cake. These are like the extras that give your image the vintage feel or the film-like vibe. The first being film grain, and you've seen film grain in almost every photo editing application out there. The difference is the amount of control this one gives you. Some other applications have something similar, but not all of them do. And the fact that you can not only do size and amount and resolution, which those kind of are common, you can control how much grain goes in the shadows, midtones, and highlights. So you can really dial things in and create a whole bunch of different possibilities with this. It's kind of limitless. And I've really only scratched the surface. I think one thing would be cool is to kind of gather some reference images and build some presets around those references, which I plan on doing. The next one is halation. So if you don't know what halation is, halation basically it's like that green, that red. It mostly comes across as red because it mostly affected the red layer of film, where the light would bounce back and kind of almost double expose the red layer of the film. So what it gives you, let me see if I can do some extreme here and see if you can see it. What it gives you is sort of just a red glow around certain highlights. You can kind of see it here if I turn it on and off. See, there's a little bit of a red on the E here on top of the T. It's where there's highlights at. Usually you'll see a slight bit of red color. Sometimes you'll see a slight bit of green, mostly it's the red. So it's, in some images it comes across really subtle, and others it's much more pronounced. But it's one of those things that was in a lot of film images that you're used to seeing. It's an adjustment that's really that can be really powerful to help give your image a film look. The next one is bloom. So bloom is kind of like a pro mist filter type effect where it's gonna give lights or highlights a sort of glow. It's really cool. I'll show you a different image in a second to show you how that how it really shines there on like images with lights and stuff. The last one is vignette, which you know what vignettes are. It's pretty self-explanatory, but again, it's nice that it has it. It's, you know, one of those adjustments is oftentimes the final thing that you do, or one of the final things that you do. So it's nice that it's there. This is kind of cool. I've taken it from this to this. I think I'd want it a little brighter though. So let's see here. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So this would be, that's the before. That's kind of what I took from Capture One into Dehancer, and with those adjustments, we have this. So yeah, I mean, that has like a cool vintage film vibe. I'll save this for right now. I don't know if this will be the one I share with you guys or not, but I'll just call this one Dehancer Demo. Okay, so, and then this was the one I created earlier. I don't like this one as much as I like the one I just created with you guys here. That one's really cool. So let me show you a couple of other images that will demonstrate the halation and the bloom a little bit better. Let's see here. This one might do a little bit of both. Let's try it. Okay, let's start with one of my presets here. I got one called Vegas Glow, and that's not bad. Let me see here if, let's make this one brighter. Let's go to the print module. Let's take up the saturation just a little bit. And yeah, let's get in there. Let me go down to halation so I can show you exactly what's going on here. So if I click on this mask mode, it's masking the areas and showing you the areas that the halation is going to affect. And if I adjust this amplify slider, you can see that it's intensifying and or decreasing. Now if I click this off, you can kind of see it. Now you can kind of see the areas there, like on the neon. It looks really cool. There's a little before and after. That works really well on that sign. It's not the glow part's coming from the bloom. Let me turn off the bloom. Let's just look at the halation part. I should clarify. So it's kind of hard to see specifically, but again, the halation is giving it a sort of red tint. Like you can almost see it down here on this walking logo. If I turn it off there, see how it's clearly that walking guy is clearly a white over black. If I click this on, you see that little bit of red there. That's halation. Now I'll add bloom back in, and let's take a look at what bloom is doing. I'll turn off halation and just have bloom. Let's intensify this a little bit though. Okay, so now bloom is taking the highlights and making them glow a little bit. So let's turn on the toggle here. So before and after, before and after. And I'll turn on halation again, and let's add just a bit more contrast back in there. Go back to full view. And I think the last thing I would want to do here is, yeah, let's take the color temperature just a little further that way. And maybe, there we go. So just increase the vignette a little bit. Now let's look at the before and after. Toggle the preview button before and after. That's pretty drastic. Now with Lightroom and Capture One alone, I could have got something close. With just those tools. What I see that this has that those don't have is the halation and bloom to get those effects simply and easily. Those are kind of like game changer elements of this, I think. Other apps have the film grain, but they don't have the adjustments on the film grain. But not a lot of other apps have the halation and bloom filter. So yeah, that's the basic tour. Over you have on the left, you have profiles and presets. You have some of these standard buttons here of settings and undo and all that. Those are pretty self-explanatory to figure out. But then on the right, you have your area for adjustments, and makes it easy to toggle them on and off. Makes it easy to reset them. It's a well laid out, easy to use piece of software that is pretty powerful. I mean, took this image to that. Pretty cool. And then once I click OK, that new TIFF that I created is in my Capture One software. So I can take that, I can print it, I can export it, do whatever I want. So there's the tour. It's pretty cool. I'm still playing with it, like I said, but I will share some presets with you guys and continue to do so. Okay, so you saw just a little taste of what Dehancer can do. I think since it has a lot of these editing tools built in along with the presets that it provides, it's pretty limitless on what you can create with this. You can create a ton of variations, save them as presets, and have them there waiting for you later on. It's a really simple but yet powerful layout that they've created, and I really dig. So to close this out, I'm going to talk about things I love and things I hope they improve upon. I'll start out with the things I hope they improve upon. So this is talking to the Dehancer people and just giving you an overview of where it's at now, where I think some of the things might be heading. I love the presets, but I wish some of the presets had grain, halation, and bloom settings attached to them, because when you choose a piece of film stock, for example, you expect a certain grain structure attached to that film. So maybe if they could add some grain settings attached to some of these presets, that would take those presets just a step further and be really cool. I wish there was more black and white presets. There are a handful. They're a great start. I would like a few more, some with some greater contrast, some more punchy looks, stuff like that. And we can create them with the adjustments and save them on our own, but just it'd be nice if some were included for some people that are just starting out. The other thing is, why not take it all the way and make it a self-contained application? Now, there may be issues where they can't do this because of licensing. I don't know for sure, but it's already almost a standalone application as is. If they were able to add a file importer and exporter into the menu, into the workflow, so you could launch the app, import a TIFF, export a TIFF, that'd be a pretty killer piece of software. For a lot of people, that might be all they need. As long as they were able to get their raw file to a TIFF, they'd be set to go. And the last thing is a small one. I wish that the preview toggle, I wish it also had a wipe feature like Lightroom and Capture One do, where you can slide the before and after across the image, especially when you're making subtle adjustments to kind of see how it affects certain parts of the image specifically. Okay, let's talk about the stuff I love. I like the platform support. That blew me away right away. They support Photoshop, Lightroom, of course. Most plugins do, but they support Capture One and Affinity Photo. And that's huge for me because I love these applications outside the Adobe ecosystem. I love the Adobe stuff, but it's nice to have choices outside that ecosystem. I love the grain customization. So although there isn't grain settings built into the presets, I love the fact that you can change the grain settings in the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. You can change the size, the impact. There's a whole bunch of adjustments that you can apply to the grain, which is really, really cool. It's one of those elements that gives you this vast options and capabilities. I love the amount of presets it does give you. It gives you a ton right off the bat, and they have a feature in there where you can check to see if they've created any new ones for you to download. The presets are awesome, and they're updated from time to time. And last but not least, circling back to the whole self-contained application thing, I love the fact that you can open a TIFF on its own in this application and do some edits and have it save back to that TIFF. That's a pretty cool feature. So many plugins get tied to being a plugin only and tie you down to Photoshop. The software itself is awesome, and I've enjoyed playing around with it. I'm going to continue to play around with it. And a matter of fact, two of the presets that I use in this video, I'm going to upload to my Buy Me a Coffee page, and you can download for free. Of course, donations are always accepted, but you can download for free, and I'll continue to create more of those. So whoever has Dehancer, or if you plan on purchasing Dehancer, you can start getting some of the presets that I create. Because I'm going to create some that has some grain settings built in, that takes some of the, maybe the desaturation down a little bit more on some of these color images, and play around with all the different settings. Because like I said, the presets are awesome, but the presets don't have, the built-in presets don't have halation, grain, and bloom settings. So I'm going to create some of those. I'm sure other people will as well. So keep an eye on my channel, and I will promote some of these presets as I create them. So yes, Dehancer, pretty cool plugin for emulating vintage film, vintage photos. Give it a shot and let me know what you think. And if you do decide to try it, use my promo code, get a discount, and let me know. So that's it for now. I'm going to continue using Dehancer, and I will do some follow-up videos down the road, let you know how it all works out.